Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here, Golden Opportunities Coaching. Welcome back to those of you who are veterans of what we do around here, and welcome to those of you who are new people coming in droves, which is a good thing. Almost 250 subscribers, 247 as I record this, so totally awesome if we hit that by the end of June. That'd be really cool. Trying to get to 1,000 so we can monetize things and give to charity, which would also be really super cool. Any event, please help with that. Like, subscribe, comment. If you have an audio you'd like to hear, that would be helpful. We always like to create audios for listeners, as it gives me a little bit of less things that I have to do in coming up with topics. Anyway, today we're going to talk about something I deal with in coaching a lot, which is the challenges of knowing if someone's playing mind games with you. And there's about 8 or so things I want to go over in this. Again, these are just loose ideas, but mind games is basically control and mind manipulation, mind control. Everyone's been through it at one point or another, and it often gets worse the closer you get to a person if they have the tendency to enact these. So you've got to realize that the key cause of mind games is manipulation. They want control. They want the idea that they have control of you. They want the idea that things are going to go the way they want to go. Most of this comes from either open wounds emotionally that they haven't healed, or it also comes down to the challenges of dealing with somebody who, for the most part, is suppressing a lot of negative emotions, and so they start to manipulate, with the end game being having control over something in their life. So the more controlling a person is, and here's a nifty trick, the more controlling a person is, the more out of control they feel in their day-to-day life. And so they'll control you if you allow it, because it gives them a sense of control of at least something in their lives. And so another thing, too, is people playing mind games do a lot of comparisons. This is better than that. My job is better than your job. I look better than you. I act better than you. I'm more well known than you. Comparison and the compare and contrast game comes from a manipulative thing. The idea that if you believe you're less than, and it's what I call the illusion of competition, in that competition doesn't exist within spirituality. It doesn't exist within the reality in which we live. We create it through this idea of better and worse that are human constructs to try to define or explain where something ranks. However, if we see things as they were intended to be written by the universe or God or whatever it is that's there, everything has both positive and negative aspects to it. Therefore, there is no reason to compete, which means also there's no reason to compare. Now, that doesn't mean we can't have preferences. It doesn't mean we can't have desires for things we'd like to have or something like that. But at the end of the day, the minute we compare and contrast, we open ourselves up to the potential to get into a sticky situation. Another thing that a manipulative or mind games playing person is going to do is they're going to withhold kind words. They're going to withhold compliments, because obviously every relationship is at least partially based on the desire for common ground and agreement. And so if a person doesn't have agreement, then they will automatically bend and change their behavior in order to get agreement. I mean, when's the last time you walked into a room with someone you cared about and thought, gee, I hope they think I'm wrong about this or that? We don't. Human nature is looking for commonality almost at all times, and when we can't find it, we will change ourselves in order to find it. And I do want to, in the middle of this audio, say I have not updated as much as I'd like, because I do have a medical injury due to medical negligence of a nursing facility, and so some days I have more pain than others, and so that's why my update schedule has been a little less than I would like. However, hopefully that'll change as we go into July and beyond. Anyway, so another thing, too, is the ghosting concept. Now, the ghosting concept is new in terminology. It's really become in vogue in the last 3 to 5 years, especially with the advent and proliferation of social media. The challenge, though, is that ghosting really is a a concept that goes all the way back to 100 years ago, right? If a person didn't want to face confrontation, if they didn't want to face rejecting another person, they would just disappear. This misnomer that it didn't exist in previous generations is false. The difference, though, is when more personal relationships existed rather than technological ones, ghosting meant physically not showing up somewhere, where now ghosting means not responding to an email, phone call, text message, or the like. So the form that it has taken has changed, but odd. Fireworks outside my window. Anyway, the form that it has taken has changed, but the realities of the existence of the concept has not. Another mind game and control mechanism is the manipulation of breaking one's word or breaking one's promises. This is a great way for people to tell how controlled a person is or how easy they are to manipulate or control. So, the way that works is simply this. If you allow me to break my word once and you forgive me, then I know you have a forgiving nature. If you allow me to break my word twice, then I know that you can be controlled some way because you said, don't do this again, and then I did it and you forgave it. By the third time, I know that your standards are low and or you're desperate. So a person, especially who's narcissistic or exceptionally manipulative or controlling, or a person who is very one-side-minded, is going to test this theory by purposely breaking their word on smaller things and then building up slowly over several weeks or several months into breaking word on bigger things, always with an apology, usually very quickly, and then bringing things back into alignment really quickly, usually within the same day, if not the next day, just to see what your reaction will be. This is actually one of the most prolific mind games, but also one of the most dangerous, because if a person is, for example, an overgiver, they're going to want to forgive. That is the nature of a person who is the overgiver. And once a person who has ill will or ulterior motives figures out that a person is an overgiver, it becomes much, much easier to manipulate them. Another thing that they will do, and we've got three more here. Another thing that they will do very commonly is create confusion, talking in circles, never committing to one thing one way or the other, but always continuing a conversation. So if a person is trying to manipulate you, they might say something like, we really should work on this, and we've got to figure this out. We'll find a way to do it. Now, what they've done is they've allayed your fear, they've made you more comfortable, they haven't given you any substance on the solution for the challenge, but they have made you feel comfortable to back you off. Now, you come forward again. Well, how would we do that? Well, I'm not quite sure how we would do that, but I'm sure that we can put our heads together and figure out something. After all, we both care about this relationship. Again, they've backed you off. You go forward. Think of it like a boxing match, right? The idea is they're always backing up as you're coming forward, and the confusion you have is because you feel like you're putting in a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of sincerity, and never getting a return on your investment. And that is by design for a person who's playing a lot of mind games. The next one, and this is really big for gaslighters, narcissists, and abusers, is the silent treatment. Now, the silent treatment is a perfectly acceptable way to let someone know, hey, I'm tired of this friendship, I'm tired of this relationship, I'm tired of going around in the same circle. But if it's used as a manipulation tactic, it generally happens when, hey, I've got nothing to say to you until you behave in a certain way. So if your behavior ends the silence, chances are you're being manipulated. And most of the time, we get so tied into, you don't want me to react to this. You don't want me to get angry, do you? And then a person goes silent. It is a control mechanism, most often used by gaslighters. Many times the gaslighter doesn't even know or realize this is a negative behavior because it is a defense mechanism, and so they don't even realize how this comes across. And when they do, they're so used to being self-protective that they don't really care. And then the last one, over the top. So either it's what I call emotional bookends. Either a person is withholding all compliments and withholding speech, conversation, compliments, and such, uh, forward progress in the relationship, or they're making declarative promises. They're saying really flowery words. They're over the top. They're all over the place. They're trying to get you to feel secure. They're love bombing, and that ultimately comes down to the fact that they want you to feel secure, so you're not dealing with the actual problems in the connection, the relationship, or whatever have you. Now, this becomes problematic, especially when people are uh, are trying to work through a relationship, and instead they get love bombed and they never deal with their issues. This ultimately causes long-term problems. So hopefully this has been helpful. I am going to put up a few more audios tonight, and like I said, with my shoulder, if my shoulder holds out okay, I'm hoping to get on a better schedule, but we'll do what we can. And until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.